Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Shifarao Lako. Stay with us. Now, Ethiopia and Malta are keen on strengthening and cementing bilateral ties and cooperation with Ethiopia. That's according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia. Foreign Minister Dammaqe Mokonnon conferred with the head of mission of the Malta Embassy in Addis Ababa, Ronald Mikalev, on ways of enhancing bilateral cooperation between the two countries. Dammaqe appreciated the government of Malta for recently opening its embassy in Ethiopia, which paved the way to further deepen ties between the two countries. He stressed the need to explore the potentials of both countries for mutual benefits, noting that Malta is a gateway between Africa and Europe. Dammaqe further congratulated the Republic of Malta on joining the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member for 2023-24 and expressed hope that Malta would play a positive role in world peace and stability during its mandate in the Security Council. Now, moving on, the monthly Addis WOG discussion organized by the Prime Minister's Office, the Press Secretariat, was underway under the theme Youths for Tomorrow's Ethiopia. The session is said to indicate the contribution, role and responsibility of the youth to the future of Ethiopia. Panelists urge the youth to overcome challenges and realize their potential to develop themselves and their country. Young Ethiopian entrepreneurs took part in the discussion, sharing their experience of challenges and success. Now, moving on, the Ethiopian Ministry of Agriculture announces the implementation of a variety of technologically advanced tree plantation procedures and systems that use GIS to map geographical conditions. According to the ministry, more than 4.2 billion trees have been planted around the country this rainy season. Kasaun Chane has produced the following story.
Since 2011, the Ethiopian calendar Green Legacy program in Ethiopia have been developed and is scheduled to plant 20 billion saplings over the course of 4 years. About 18 billion saplings have been planted in Ethiopia over the course of the last 3 Green Legacy programs by incorporating the populace. According to the Director of the Natural Resources Development, Protection and Utilization with the Ministry of Agriculture, the country had a goal to plant roughly 6 billion trees this year, but due to requests from the regional government who have already prepared more than 7.5 billion trees, the nation is going to proudly surpass Air's plan to more than 7 billion. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, the ministry has implemented a number of initiatives related to tree plantation processes and systems that are based on technology and indicate the geographical circumstances with GIS.
ከባለፉት አመታት ለየት ብሎ የሚታየው ጎልቶ የወጣው ጅምሮች ቢኖሩም ጎልቶ የወጣው ምንድነው ምን ተክልበትን ቦታ ቀድመን ማወቃችንና
Unlike the previous year, we were able to identify the location where tree planting would take place, and we took the initiative to mark the locations of saplings on a map. It can be said that a geo-reference has been prepared for nearly all the regional states, especially in Amhara, Oromia, and other regions like SNNP, where tree plantations is going to be widely implemented. This is crucial for anyone looking to have accurate information about the trees being planted anywhere. The ministry is working to integrate GIS-based technologies into tree planting systems and processes so that anybody anywhere may access information with a simple click.
ይሄን ሲስተም አዘጋጅተን ስንጨርስ እና ለሁሉም ፐብሊክ ስናቀርብ ማንም ሰው በየትኛውም ቦታ ላይ ሆኖ በአንድ ክሊክ መረጃ የሚያገኝበትን ሁኔታ እንዲያገኝ እየሰራን ያለ
In order to boost the value of the nation's forest resource for development, the initiative should strive to rehabilitate 54 million hectares of degraded land, as proven by research. The Director of Forest Development claims that green infrastructure has risen to the top of Ethiopia's list of development goals since it aids in the nation's attempts to become a rich nation.
Ethiopia's terrain is mountainous, and the eroded soil there has to be covered with vegetation. If we understand how the forest supports our way of life by enhancing agricultural productivity, we contend that the prosperity of the country cannot be attained without the development of the forest and the safeguarding of its natural resources. Even the country's rainfall is controlled by foresters. The government and other stakeholders should focus more emphasis on measurable achievements than on the amount of trees planted, as it is crucial to maintain the nation's food supply as well. Of course, we should be proud of the national tree planting activities that play a positive role.
Besides, the government, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has urged all Ethiopians, particularly investors, to get involved in the Green Legacy project.
Now, the Ethiopian ambassador to Zimbabwe, Rashid Ahmed, presented his letter of credentials to President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Ambassador Rashid, who conveyed cordial greetings and best wishes from President Sahle-Work Zewde to President Mnangagwa, expressed his appreciation to the president for the kind arrangements and presentation of credentials. Both sides exchanged views on a new strategic, forward-looking and action-oriented direction to cement more reliable ties. Noting that Ethiopia and Zimbabwe ties are historic, Mnangagwa affirmed that Ethiopia cherishes its relations with Zimbabwe to maintain the continued growth of the political cooperation. In another development, Ethiopian ambassador to Egypt, Hassan Ibrahim Musa, delivered a copy of his credential letters to the Chief of Protocol Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Egypt. Ambassador Hassan pledged to boost the bilateral relationship between the two countries, taking their historical relationship into account. Nabil Habshi, the Egyptian Foreign Ministry's Chief of Protocol, expressed his best wishes for Ambassador Hassan, pledging to support him during his stay in Egypt. The Intergovernmental Authority for Development, IGAD, says the current circumstances of the Russia-Ukraine induce the East African region to rethink resilience program. The IGAD region faces diverse challenges due to the recurrent droughts, floods, and other climate-related distress, it was indicated. The remarks came while IGAD kicked off its 14th Drought Disaster Resilience Initiative. Goshu Melisawa has more on that from the Ethiopian News Agency.
The 14th IGAD's Drought Disaster Resilience Initiative, under the theme Consolidating the Path for Resilience and Sustainability, scaling up humanitarian actions and resilience investments, kicked off today. The current circumstances compel the need for a paradigm shift to accept the impact of multiple shocks, including the war in Ukraine, and rethink resilience programming in the region, IGAD Executive Secretary Workneh Gebeyehu said. In his opening remark, he said the authority has been consistently working to strengthen resilience capacity in pastoral and agro-pastoral communities, which contributed to regional integration.
To make matters worse, this is not just a food crisis, but also the combination of a food crisis, health crisis, as well as malnutrition among children, the elderly and women, in exceeding of 90 million in the three most affected countries, namely Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia. Additionally, it is also an economic crisis with over 7 million head of livestock, which are the main source of life for pastoralist communities of our region.
State Minister for Agriculture Fikru Raggasa, for his part, said IGAD region faces diverse challenges that increase the vulnerability of communities.
With this respect, the Ethiopian government recognizes that drought-prone communities in our sub-region share the same ecosystem, and are interconnected through the shared natural resources, socio-cultural, and transboundary human and animal movements. It was learned that such practice along the cross-border areas have demanded a strong coordination, harmonization, and integrated development efforts in dealing with drought and its resultant effects in the Horn of Africa.
Thus, IGAD member countries have to make a considerable effort to build resilience capacities by designing projects through the support of various development partners, Fikru further said. Socio-economic infrastructures and services are crucial to alleviate the multifaceted problems of the region, it was noted.
Now, the South Sudan's ambassador to Ethiopia says his country is committed to peaceful coexistence with Ethiopia. The strength of the two countries depends on harmony and integration. Talking to Ethiopian news agency, South Sudan's ambassador to Ethiopia, James Morgan, underscored that the two countries have to work on further strengthening border area ties by linking communities with proper infrastructure. Shogamata has the following story.
Ethiopia and South Sudan have a lot to accomplish in fostering mutually beneficial socio-economic and diplomatic relations, as well as deeper cooperation in the areas of peace and security. South Sudan's ambassador to Ethiopia said his country is committed to coexisting with Ethiopia, as the strength of the countries depends on harmony, integration, and living in peace. Talking to Ethiopian news agency, South Sudan's ambassador to Ethiopia, James Morgan, stated that his country is committed to resolve problems and ensure peaceful coexistence with Ethiopia in the border areas of the two countries and embark on infrastructure development to integrate the common people.
South Sudan is committed for the peaceful coexistence of the two countries, very much committed. We have the communities at the border. With these communities, they don't belong to South Sudan alone. Some of these communities are Ethiopian communities, some of them are South Sudanese community, but they are one people. These are two sisterly countries, very close to one another, and they cannot be without proper roads, infrastructure that links them in order to carry out their daily activities.
The ambassador also highlighted that although there is airline connectivity between Juba and Addis Ababa, it is not sufficient as most of South Sudan's citizens cannot afford going to Bole International Airport, adding that infrastructure development have to be completed within a short period of time so that people can get together.
We are, at the moment, the only connectivity we have is the Ethiopian Airlines, which links Juba and Addis Ababa. But that is not enough, because our citizens, many of them cannot afford going to Bole International Airport. And that is why we need this infrastructure to be completed within the shortest period of time, so that our people can get together to make sure that they trade among themselves, they travel within themselves, and they carry out their daily activities among themselves.
According to him, South Sudan and Ethiopia have been working at boosting interconnectivity and economic ties through the construction of road infrastructure to link the two East African countries, adding that priority has been given to the Gambela-Pagak-Faluj route, with construction set to commence in the near future among the selected 5 routes to connect the two countries.
Now, in business, Ethiopian Investment Commissioner Lelise Nemi conferred with the head of the political and economic section of the U.S. Embassy in Addis Ababa, John Robinson. The discussion centered on ways of boosting investments in Ethiopia. The meeting identified strategies to boost U.S. investments in Ethiopia and to follow up on the process of AGOA's resumption. It further affirmed the commitment and support of the U.S. Embassy to Ethiopia for increased private sector engagement and the overall improvement of the investment climate. Now moving to African stories, Mali's military government ordered the spokesperson of the UN peacekeeping mission, MINUSMA, to leave the country within 72 hours over tweets about a diplomatic incident with Ivory Coast that has soured relations with the United Nations. The issue over Olivier Salgado, a French national, relates to 49 troops from Ivory Coast were detained after landing at Bamako airport on July 10. And the authorities have accused the troops of being mercenaries. Shogo Yamato has the following story from Africa News.
A country on the move, but not just on the roads. Mali is continuing its new direction in foreign policy, first with the expulsion of the French anti-terrorism force, and now the expulsion of the spokesman of the UN's peacekeeping force in the country. Olivier Salgado was given 72 hours to leave on Wednesday over posts he made on Twitter concerning a controversy involving Ivorian troops.
In this kind of situation, the state must take its responsibility, because when you are the spokesperson for an organization as serious as MINUSMA, which is part of the United Nations, you must stand up. You must speak out for peace. I take it as an act of tendentious manipulation, making people believe that it was MINUSMA that had the authority. Normally, it was MINUSMA itself that should expel Olivier Salgado before the Malian state did so. But since MINUSMA was slow to do that, the government took its responsibility.
The move by the Mali junta is generating furious reactions in the West African nation. Abubakar Siddiq Fomba is the member of the National Council for the Transition CNT, but Ivory Coast says they were sent to provide a support role for MINUSMA under a routine rotation. The expulsion comes amid mounting friction between Mali's ruling military and international partners supporting the country's fight against jihadists.